wonderful day. This wild life we live is a blessing for me. Today the dreams will be all night. Cause I'm having a wonderful day. Hey, hey, I'm having a wonderful day. This wild life we live is a blessing for me. Today the dreams will be all night. Cause I'm having a wonderful day. Hey, hey.
What's up, good people? Welcome back to another episode of Peep Game TV Presents, live at 5. I'm your man, SRD, and I'm waiting for my man, 100 Grand, Big Muzz. And as usual, our goal, our intentions, and our mission is to uplift fallen humanity. One person, one family, one neighborhood, one city, one state at a time. So while waiting on Big Muzz, let's get into, oh, he's right here. It's good, brother. Already did your introduction. Do your introduction. I already introduced you. Already did the introduction. What I wanted to ask you, have you ever heard of DEI?
DEI?
Yeah. Diversity, what is it? Diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Nah.
Yeah, so they've been talking about that. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's basically, something that supposedly was created for the minorities, so the so-called, black people, and now they're getting rid of it.
Okay.
You familiar with it?
Is they getting rid of it, or now anybody can apply?
Well, they've been getting rid of it because they've been saying that it's discriminating against those who identify as white.
Right.
So they're kind of trying to do away with it, and for me, it's something that I look at, and it still puts you in a position where, okay, whatever the colonizer or American gives, they take it back. At the end of the day, when it comes to that, they take it back. For example, I don't know if you heard about in Tennessee, I believe it was an HBCU. The HBCU haven't received funding for like 30 years from the federal government.
Tennessee. Well, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and but the seat and the other thing with when it's an HBCU, when you get funding, that comes with stipulations. It's like when you are a nonprofit organization and you file for funding, you got to have stipulations. You got to show that you're going to do certain things, and then you're not able to do certain things. I'm only saying that to say that although the HBCUs benefit, Moors, melanin people, it's still limited to how much information they are allowed to put out. I also checked up what you were saying about the blacks, how when it kind of started, where we started being called black. So like in the 1500s, when after the King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella united forces. Once they united forces, they used their army to defeat the Moors and take Spain. And once they took Spain, then it began that began the downfall of the Moors. But prior to that, the Moors basically had conquered pretty much the majority of the world for like 700 years, from the 700s to like the 1400s. So I say that to say that when and it said it said when they started naming you black, blackamoor, uh, Moorish, Negro, and slave. That was one of the names. Slave was one of the names.
Right.
So it made me think that, okay, if that's one of the names, then there's something, you know, connected to that. It's connected to that because, okay, now that you are no longer a Moor, because now you're black, blackamoor, or a slave. So these things, and this what makes me look at the way things are now, because if you want to look that information up, you won't find it as looking up as an African American or black. You won't find that information. You would more than likely have to look up blackamoor or more. You know what I mean? To find that information, because I was looking up, looking through, looking up, saying African American, and it leads you to slave. And now, when it comes to 1492, they've switched that from Spain and they gave that to America. You know what I mean? Remember they was saying Christopher Columbus came in 1492, and that wasn't so. The whole thing is, it even broke it down to how we ended up having the names that we had based on um, Catholics. The Catholics. Don't you know that they were telling the Moors? They took the Moors. They started taking the culture. They burnt the writings. They actually didn't want you to wear the fezzes anymore. So they start destroying all the Moorish culture and replacing it. 1, 2, and replacing it with theirs. 1, 4. You know what I'm saying? And replacing it with theirs. So we always wondered, we were told a story that the slave masters gave us the names, but it wasn't the slave masters. It was the Christianity. It was the Catholic Church, because remember, the Catholic Church is still powerful today. The Pope still has more power than the presidents, you know? And I found it intriguing because it's like, wow, we've been going through a lot of things, and the information is there, but because we are looking up the wrong names, we can't find the proper information. When you did your research, when you first started doing the research, what did you look under?
Well, a lot of that took place because back in the 1400s, it's like when this was still the prophecies. Prophets were still Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala still sent prophets amongst us because the way the people was doing, the way they was behaving. And when Islam established itself all over that continent, Islam established itself. Even going to um, when they went to that continent, as we you call
Peninsula,
Africa.
Africa, Europe,
Okay, yeah,
all
yeah.
that.
When they went there,
All of it, Mojo,
before
all over.
that, uh, we already had people in type of slavery. That always existed. So people always did. Rather, even your own people had slaves. So people slavery always existed. That did not exist. When the prophet started with his prophecy, he went to demolish all slavery all the way around the globe. All the way around the globe, he would demolish slavery. When they took over the Catholic, which it really was the Jewish, okay, when it in Jerusalem, when they took over, and conquered that part. And they turned to Islam, and Islam is started established itself around the whole world. Okay, and even to get them to be submissive, it was war. It was war. Nobody ain't just submitted. You know, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If you look up all the wars that they had wars, you know, just to show them it was one way, one order for humanity. It was one order for humanity, not just to be Muslim. For humanity, there was one guideline, and that's what he was establishing one guideline. That was before the Moors became the Moors. After the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam died, after he died, all those who submitted, all those countries or areas that submitted, they only submitted because of the power that the Muslims had in unison, because they unified. You know what I'm saying? After they had unified and they seen they had Africa and they had Egypt, you feel me? They had Mecca and they had Africa. They had all these people. A lot of other ones submitted. They only submitted to prevent war. So after the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam died, they took back over. You know, you see them fighting right now. So they took over. So a lot of stuff went back to being separated, being called this, being called that. A lot of stuff got separated in the 1400s. When it was 1492, everything was scattered around. That was way after the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So everything got all scattered up, and everything got all scattered around. So a lot of information. We know that the Catholics, and if you look at the Catholics, like back in the day when you used to go over there, you used to be confused who was Muslim and who was Catholic because everything was similar. The dress was similar. This was similar. A lot of similarities was coincide with each other because it seems like, okay, this derived and this derived. But the message of humanity was totally different. As we know, a lot of religions is man thought, is man's guidance. That's why we say when it comes to Islam, it's not a religion, it's a way of life that we supposed to be applying. We know that don't work, but we supposed to be applying. So where each other sets, it become its own religion. This is why I'm not keen on saying this people or that people, because that everybody had a name, everybody became a name, and once you became that name, it separated you from the real heritage of everybody else. It separated you. Like before the Moors became Moors, right? Because they wasn't Moors. That's that group of people, that whole continent, that group of people, the Moroccans, they submitted to Islam and became Muslim. They became Muslim. They wasn't Muslim before that. They became Muslim. And they went out to conquer. They went out to fight against Spain and everything else, following the guidelines of there is no slavery, you can't do this, and you can't do that. So they went to help people and to take over and stop the oppressors from coming to oppress the people. You understand? And you see there, how can they dominate and take over because of the separation? Because when they became Moors from Morocco, it's only this side. It's not the whole thing. You understand? When you separate something and you can divide it, now you can only focus on that and say, we only bothering these people. We're not bothering those people. You don't have nothing to do with that. This is where we start drawing the line and say, well, we only messing with the Moorish people. We're not messing with these people. You know, and it actually is it's like I wanted to go through something today because I had a serious experience and I wanted to bring it's something like that. I'm black, but I'm okay. But now, because everything is going on at war, I'm Muslim and I'm black, so I'm getting prejudiced on because I'm Muslim. But if I'm just black and I'm hood, I'm okay. But now because everything is before, they don't want the black in the hood, and they don't want that because they want the Muslims because we got obedience, we got discipline, we following a ritual that applies to others. So we thinking about other humanity. So once the people can use that and separate you, they can conquer because they can say, we only bothering this group of people. See, the Moorish was powerful. They was doing their thing. Separation is what make us weaken. It was
Well,
it, it was what make us weak because where they came from, they were powerful, and it
yeah,
was the
yeah, yeah,
majority of them. It was the
yeah, yeah.
majority. But then you got to remember when they went to Spain, they were melanated people, but then they they they
Start interacting
they
with
started
Spain.
interacting, and that's why you have a lot of Moorish people, Moroccan people,
Yeah, of different
lighter
shades.
shades, yeah,
Yeah,
lighter shades of skin.
but then you know that even that, you still can have, people as dark as you and I could end up with light skinned children.
Oh, of
What I
course, yeah. I mean, like
So,
it's in
right,
the blood now. So
right,
I mean,
right,
like, well, nowadays we can't compare it to back in the day because
right.
back in the day it was solid dark, 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 dark people, or it depend on what part of the earth
The
you was
continent
on.
you are,
You
what type,
you
where
you
you were
were on.
from. Right,
Nowadays we know it's like DNA, all
right,
and type of
right. And,
and
and,
everything else, man.
and I hear what you're saying. Now, even though the Moors were, dominant, pretty much the Moorish Empire was vast. It was a lot of land
Right.
that was owned by the Moors. The problem also came with Christianity. So now it was Christianity against Islam, Christians against Muslims. And that was the thing that once King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella united, that gave Christianity the power.
Well,
And
what
then
happened was because you got to remember when the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when they were seeking refuge, they went to Africa to the Abyssinian people, which those was
it was
kings and they
Christian.
was ruling. You understand?
Right.
And they were saying, okay, Islam. They was saying like verify this new prophet and verify this. So they knew by their book, which was Christianity, which was they was ruling then with Christianity. This is what I'm saying. After the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, after he died, it became weak. It's like leadership. It's like motivation. You have a prophet now. You know what I'm saying? Now that prophet ain't there no more. So now the people is all mayhem. Now Christianity comes back on a different accord. This one, all of them countries that you even talking about, bro, they was being submissive to Islam. They wouldn't go
Well,
against
I
Islam.
mean, hence why the Moors ruled for 700 years, for 7 centuries,
Right.
for 7 centuries. Yeah. So yeah. Eventually, I mean, and this is what we have to realize. We be saying, you know, the Europeans or the colonists don't like us. No, they know that we were ruling for 700 years. Right now, it's only been basically like 200 and something years. Okay, we give it from the 14s to now, basically 500 years, or just about that they've been. They. The thing is, what we want to do is establish a point where, okay, prior to that, it was about conquering. The Muslims conquer everybody. Okay, now the Christians conquer everybody. So now that we are where we at now in this day and time, now it's about, okay, how do we live where everyone feels in a manner that, okay, I got my rights, you got your rights, and if we got to fight, we got to fight. So that's where we at now, because I think right now, for us as melanated individuals, I don't think it we already separated based on landmass. You know what I mean? We're separated already. We need one thing to bring us back as a whole. And I believe that us going back to something that's legal, that we knew that our ancestors, the most recent thing, okay, we know we were Egyptians. We know that. However, the Europeans destroyed pretty much all the stuff to connect us to that, except paintings and stuff that they find now when you go in tombs.
They only things were only hidden because we didn't have access. Because somebody always knew. So
Yeah, yeah.
now that we have access of all this information that's going all the way around the world, people know how if they're participating, that's a whole different scenario. So it may seem like they don't know, but I'm pretty much convinced that people
Lots of
know.
people know. Yeah,
You
a lot of
understand?
people,
People, they know. A
a
lot of
decent
people just
amount.
don't want to be involved. They don't want to be like this. They don't want to be that, like that. And that's the way life is. That's the way life is. This is what we must know, that life is like that. It wasn't easy for none of the prophets. It wasn't easy for none of the civil rights movement. It wasn't either easy for none of the leaders, the um, the
Thank you all
revolutionary
for
leaders.
watching. Hang in there. Whatever questions, put the information out. And, you know, subscribe to Peep Game TV as
Peep
well
Game
as
TV. You know, so it's like we don't understand. We know, like, people know. So the information is out there. How do this is and this is only my opinion, and I stay on that opinion from what I experienced, things I ran into, how I see people move. You do have to get a group of people, of course, to follow you and to tie down. So that's a journey there too. And you have to know the keywords. There's always keywords. What connect us? What people look for keywords to be connected. If it's too mysterious, they're just gonna sit. You have to connect those things. I've seen, because people ain't aware, they don't have the complete understanding. It's foreign to them. When you say certain things, they rebel or they sit. There's no action. They want it. From my experience. So that's why even with me, I hate when, because I've been taught that sets is a real big division. You have to be careful when you set sets. Everything is a set. You have to tie in to one whole foundation and go from there. And everybody from there is a link to this set, but you got to go back to the whole foundation. Like, this is the foundation. Because if you don't, it's like you said, we tied to Morocco, right?
right,
Morocco is tied to what? That's Asian Minor. That's
right,
Africa.
right.
Okay? So it's like,
Kibalon,
right.
yeah,
So
different.
it's
Right,
like Libya, like you said, the one girl was from one part of Africa and she said, I'm not this and I'm not that. That's
absolutely.
division. Those are labels that cause division. That's why I say Asian Minor, the continent of that. You have Egypt, you have everybody who's over there. That was the land, period. That was the land for mankind, humanity. That's where it manifests itself at. That's where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put all the preserves and everything that was great and the resources there. The wetlands is where we at now in the West over here. That was the wetlands. No good resources, no nothing. Why you think they're going over there to get it, to build over here? Because this was garbage land. Period. This was the
Well,
land of
I don't think this. I why Europe came here, because this was fertile land. Europe was the garbage land because they came here starving. They came here to learn how to eat and
they
everything.
came here because they couldn't go amongst those that was over there. They couldn't go among because they were wicked people. You know, it's like when you listen, when you read the lessons from 1 to 40. You know what I'm saying? And when they tell you they had the people wilderness in the wilderness, they got kicked out because they
Yeah,
was
they
unrighteous.
had to run them
Because
to the caves. Right.
right, because they was unrighteous, they was doing all types of wicked things, and they couldn't. And because of the unity, they had no power. Only when it was division that they started conquering. When
Absolutely.
people started going here and going there, but not being under the flag, they were under the flag of Islam, but still in Islam after the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, after his death, it became a division. When he was alive, it wasn't. It was just Islam. It was just
Well, I
Islam.
mean, that was a short period of time because
Well,
he only
he
lived
did.
to basically 63.
Yeah, he
You
lived
know,
to be 63, but look what he done in them years. So Allah
right? So
subhanahu wa ta'ala.
right, so
You
that's what I'm
feel me?
saying. It
Yeah,
was a
and that
short
was
period. It
one
was a
man
short.
with
It
no
was a short period.
resources. Yeah,
It was a
with no resources, conquered all that land, every country, to submit to Islam, the rule of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of humanity, not because of the Arabs, not because of of this. No, because of the submissiveness for humanity to make humanity better. No slaves, recognize the women, the children, the equality. How the government get established? Through Islam. The government got established through Islam. That's how the governments came to be established. How they turned it around and started using it because they didn't want to give to the poor or anything else. But that got enforced, so they had to give to
Yeah.
the poor. You
I
understand?
self law. I self law. You know
Right.
what I mean? We said Lord, but it's I self law and master. You know what I'm saying? Our laws. So I dig what you're saying about that, and I think that's something we're gonna have to start back doing. What you were saying as far as being able to call out what is detrimental to the whole. You know what I mean? Because what we're seeing now, sitting watching the news and watching Israel. Now, Israel is in violation of international law. You know, uh, the individual from Israel saying he doesn't care about anything else, international law or nothing. He's gonna protect his country. It's one thing to protect your country, but it's another thing to initiate violence towards another country based on your view of what you want from them. And now the 193 states now they have an obligation now. They have an obligation, America included. They have an obligation now that Israel is in violation of international law. Now America is under the pressure of, okay, now do you continue to support Israel, or you withhold your resources? That's normally how they rein in individual countries that go rogue. Once you go rogue, it's 193 countries. No one country can beat the whole 192 countries. You know what I'm saying? Or even if they could with force, there's resources that you want from them countries that if they withhold those resources, it gets you to say, okay, I got to listen. So that's the thing with the international law. Now, will America abide to it? I'm not really sure. I really doubt it. To be honest, I doubt it. That's the reason why it's incumbent for us to regain our position where we be able to say, "Oh, look, we're not supporting that." And I know it sounds impossible. I know it sounds like, you know, you're not going to be able to do it because America is like Israel. And the thing is, unlike Gaza, we're going to be in the same vicinity as America. We're not talking about go get some land and split it and go to another part of the land and they have this land. No, we're talking about exactly what you're saying, reestablishing humanity, equal rights for all people in the world. And by doing that, we have to first establish that in here with the one of the major rogue countries to establish it and say, look, you signed this and we want you to uphold what you signed, not what you said, but what you signed and agreed to, because a lot of our fights have been what? To get laws. That's what Martin Luther King was fighting for, to get a law for, you know, what citizens to be for citizens to be basically, you know, the rights to be a citizen, which I don't, I don't really get why we as a people had to fight for civil rights when, you know, in 1871 we were naturalized. We were naturalized as a people, and now we had to fight for civil rights. So it was about the laws. So when we look at it, this what we're working on is about law. It's about not really just domestic law. It's about international law and laws of treaty law, which if you look in the the Constitution says treaties are the law of the land. And when you look at every war back in those days where the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, they would put together peace treaties. They would ultimately, after the war, they would, okay, this is what we're going to write down. This is how we're going to operate. And that
They
is,
deliberately broke those treaties because they were wicked. That's
well,
how they went back to war.
and you know how they was able to break it? Once they was able to re-identify the people that was in the treaty, because with the treaty with Grenada, where the Moors had with Grenada, they said, this was, I think, in the 1400s. They said the black people broke the treaty. They didn't say the Moors. They said the black people broke the treaty. Now, remember, the treaty was between the Moors. So if they say the black people, now you're not a party to the treaty. And that's where that's why the only reason why I stress that we go the route of Moors and Moroccan, because it's being able to be party to the treaty, party to the laws that was put together. That makes us a party. Other than that, we're not a party. And that's really, when we really look at it, that's actually what we've been fighting for. We've been actually fighting to get some footing so that we could say, look, this is what we want, you know? And we've been doing it as Negroes, African Americans, or Black people. And there, we were waiting for America to write the law. The difference with this now is the law's already been written and America's already signed off on it. So now we don't have to wait for them to write the law. Now we hit them and we say, we're looking to enforce the law now. We're looking to enforce the law. We're not waiting on you to enforce the law. This is what we're enforcing. So now, rather than them saying to us, look, you under our jurisdiction, we say, no, you are under our jurisdiction based on the Act of Algeciras in 1906, Section 123, we because that's what, to me, my personal opinion, I think what really enslaved us were the laws. Once the Moors were conquered, I think
Well,
the laws really enslaved us.
the laws kept you in line and gave you the laws kept you in line. The oppression, the aggressiveness enslaved you. Putting fear in people, that's what enslaves people. You know what I'm saying? And then the laws, they go, well, don't touch the fence, it got electric on it. So a lot of people ain't gonna go near it because they're gonna be like, I could walk over here anyway. So I ain't even gonna touch the fence. You know what I'm saying? Because it has electricity, it has electricity. That's fine. I'm looking at like you have right now, like just like I told you, like right now what's happening here, like you have a lot of discrimination going on in the streets right now. You know what I'm saying, against Muslims. Uh, um, the Jews own a lot of America. They own a lot of the America. Period. You know what I'm saying? And they own so much. They don't have to bow down or say they're gonna stop something. That's how much they own. That's how much they got. You see what they doing, what they want to do. So you have the United Nations, like you say there. I don't feel like they're as powerful. I think they're just there. You know what I'm saying? To tell you the truth, me, because I know that the powerful countries that's running everything right now, that's sitting in the country that has the resources, everybody trying to get their hand on it for their own purpose. With this, they done established a military and militaries and weapons to just do whatever they want. So I that's all and good. We also have to be prepared for that reality. That's a reality. For them to sit down, you could be caught up like we court is court. Go and following the procedures of a procedure. They'll make you follow a procedure for 10, 15 years and say, yeah, 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 yeah. You have to have the reality of who you dealing with. Like people, these people are not sit down people. I can't bring them a piece of paper and say, look, we have this, you signed it, and we want our rights. If that was the case, we'd have been free. They don't
Why would
care.
we?
They
How would we?
they
We
they
never
they
had
listen. They
documentation
don't
before.
care about
We
any of
hold
that.
up. What we never had
We hold
documentation.
it. That's wrong because you said they were sitting on this documentation for a
But
while.
listen. But what I'm saying is, when we came, we didn't come with that documentation. We didn't come as Moors. We came as African Americans. We came as Black people. We never came to them as Moroccan Moors. We
Yeah, but
never
you said,
came as a party
but
to
that,
the treaty.
but hold it. But that's not our fault. We trying to get free. We trying
It
to be.
is.
Hold it.
Go
If
ahead.
somebody has the paper to say, listen, you doing it the wrong way. We got this. You can do it this way, man. We passed a lot of years. We passed a lot. You feel like nowadays, now in the 2024, is as powerful as black men in America as it was in the 60s, in the early 70s. We started dying down in the 80s.
Is
That's when we became
what,
submissive.
so you're saying, are we as, I don't know, want to say, you
Are we
said,
as uncomfortable as they were in the 60s and the early 70s and going into the 80s? Are we uncomfortable as they were with how things was? Or are we comfortable individuality? Like we like, listen, we good. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what you're gonna need. You're gonna need that fire to even make that presentation. They want to see that fire from a people's that has to make that presentation. Because remember, you're going up against people that cannot stand anything you're talking about. That's a reality. It's not me making them
no,
powerful,
no,
not
no,
me being
no, no,
scared.
no,
It's a
no.
reality.
The reality, of course, this is why they held on. This is why the colonizers, America, as well as France. Remember, France knew too. France was given the task to bring the Moroccans back into government. They were given a task, so they know. They know as well. So the thing was, the whole key was to keep us blind, to keep us not knowing. Long as we didn't know, we filling around in the blind, we marching, you know, we protesting, we joining in to the government. All these things we're doing, trying to make a change, and all the time they know. Sad part is some of our great leaders know,
Now,
and some of them knew.
this is what I was gonna comment on. This is just how I am because I want to give the benefit of the doubt, especially for people who's up front and leaders and that I learned about and that I myself would have followed and believed in them. Like matter of fact, I was listening to something Farrakhan said the other day, and he was dropping this serious speech, and he was like, "Yeah, they know, you know. Well, it's so out, it's so out right now. So my thing is that." All these great leaders and people that knew, you know what I'm saying? Because you look at Malcolm, he was trying to get to the United Nations.
He knew,
Okay.
right?
All right. But he was trying to go that route, the same route.
Absolutely,
Let me go to the United Nations and do it this way.
right.
Right. And the thing about it is, are we paying attention of the routes? You know what I'm saying? Are we paying attention to why things is prolonged? What is it that we have to be in a position? Because if I really, I'm not gonna be that like, oh, if we just do this, it's gonna happen and like
No,
that. Not
no, no.
knocking
You're
it, but
right.
I'm going like all these leaders that knew, all the people that knew. I wish I knew what they knew, that because their approach wasn't just that. Their approach was to the people first. Let's get them identified. Let's group them in. We have to group them in. Then we can start feeding them. We have to get everybody eating out the same bowl. We got to have everybody wearing the same uniform. We got to get everybody, no matter what they're doing, on the same accord. I feel like that was their approach first, because you can't drop a drink on a cat because they don't understand it. So you gotta weave them in, group them together first. We gotta
Okay.
group them together first, and sometimes we learn that from the Quran itself. What's the best way to acknowledge a people in their own language? Period. The white man, the other men, the not white as in you, individual. Only some of them, because some of them niggas is wicked. Period. And but as America do, they don't come. We set language for them, and they come in and learn it, and they manipulate it. They manipulate our language. We seen the it was something going on the other night, and the brother went to it, and he called me up right after it. It was in Clifton, New Jersey, and he was like, "Yo, this is crazy. You should see the kids. They're lost. They Whiskas. I'm sorry, my cat just kicked the door open and came in. Um, uh, and they're lost. That's because we set them at a language. We set them with a frequency. We have to get these people back on the right accord of righteousness. We have to set them on righteousness, just loving each other, acknowledging each other. When we could get them in a group at first, identifying each other, and just identify everybody who is black. Just identify. Just say what's up. Just speak. Just identify each other and look at each other. See, like you the same people. Acknowledge your culture, your base. Acknowledge each other before we start taking them. Just taking this group and just going like that. That's gonna weaken us. We need strength. We need strength. We need that strength that scaring America right now with all them protests. They multiplying. Them students is they wilding out. It's scaring America because that's in the house. So just because they sleeping with tents, they wouldn't leave them alone, and now they being aggressive. So that's scaring America. So now America's like, okay, now it should then politics play a role. They always want to cover it up and make the fire go down and the flame go down. That's when you have to take advantage of a lot of things. And what we do, we go down. They put the flame down, we go down. You got to keep that thing up. You got to keep it burning. And I think our leaders knew the importance of such documentation, the power of such documentation. You can't hit and miss with this shit because America will wipe your ass out. You know what I'm saying? So you can't hit and miss with this. You need a a continent of people that's here in America, the group of strong people. We have to strengthen them back with our identity of self. They strong, but they not being a group identified. Because of the separation, it feels like we weak. So when they say this group, this one is bugged out, he drunk, he this
Right.
one is that, this one is that. But brother, we have strong. Look at all the prisons.
Yeah, yeah.
Those are
Yeah, yeah.
strong men in prison.
We
But we have to identify that they have to identify self first, because when you drop such a drink on people, even it's a normal reaction. It's a normal reaction.
I
So
mean, I think everybody who identifies as black know that there was something else. They know they were called something else prior to being called black. I think 95% of the people know that they were called something else prior to being
do
called
you
black.
think that 95% of the people who know they were called something else know they came from Africa and they always identify Africa as their motherland?
I think so. I would say
Okay,
so.
so this is what I'm saying. So it's like that connection. Even Morocco's in Africa.
Right.
So that connection. Identify the African with the American. Then we get down with the knowledge of this tribe, and this is what we have here, and this is what we have here. But identify each other as one. Separate people, bro.
And
Period.
I don't and see because I look at Moors not as a sect. I look at it as we're more
It's a
than what
set.
we've been.
It's
It,
identify as a set. It's
I mean,
identify as a set.
that's your view. That's your view of it.
So
You know what I
okay,
mean?
listen.
Because you've
Isn't they if they in Africa? How many sets is in Africa? How many different countries identify themselves other than Moroccan? Is they all being Moroccan? Come on,
I mean,
if
they're
they
all
all
not.
not being Moroccan,
Listen,
that's a set,
they're
bro.
all they're
It's not a
all.
view.
The reality is, even as getting everyone to identify as African descent, okay? African descent don't necessarily bring all melanin people in. You know what I mean? African descent at this point brings other people in as well. African descent. So yeah, now melanated people
Bro,
as
if they calling themselves African descent, that's a group of strong, large people. If they melanated from here or there and they say we African descent and it brings all those people to African descent, alhamdulillah.
well, okay. Now getting back to what you were saying with our previous leaders. Now, okay, they found a way to bring the people together. And once they got the people together, what happened to releasing the information? You know what I mean?
Bro, once they got the people together, the people took them out, bro. Period.
I mean, right now,
They took them out,
right now, we have, if the Nation of Islam, and the Nation of Islam has surpassed just America. You know what I mean? You got people in London that's in the Nation of Islam. So at this point, all we would need now was those in the Nation of Islam to start saying, look, it's time for us to get statehood. It's time for us to get to reclaim our independence, to start putting constitutions together because it's enough of
but you got to
Nation of
also
Islam.
ask yourself: is a if a set of people is this powerful all over the world, and they know this documentation exists, you got to also be like, why they haven't made a move yet? Because a lot of these people that deal with the government hands on, not like me and you up here talking, a lot of these people deal with the government hand on. A lot of people see behind scenes, like you see what happened to Gaddafi, bro. You see, you understand? A lot of things, bro, we talking about because we right here and we saying this. A lot of people behind the scenes see a lot of things. I was listening to this morning on the radio, and they had a female on there. She was a prosecutor from Boston, I think it was, and she was a prosecutor. You know what I'm saying? And she was trying to do some reform and some good things, and she dropped the ball somewhere, and now they coming after her. And she's on the radio trying to get the petition signed, and people asking her, but you was a prosecutor, then you put black people away, whether you following the criteria and this and that, and now they coming after you. Because she said, now I'm on the other side of the fence. It don't feel good. It don't feel good. And she said it. She said, I'm scared because these people are very powerful. And this is what we have to have a reality. We're not giving strength to people, but we're not being blinded how
It's not a point of being blind.
well, I'm just saying why I'm just saying why you when we say all we need,
I think
all we
sometimes
need. I don't think it's that simple. I don't think
listen.
it's as simple as let's
It's
get the people together, sign
what,
it,
but
and we
at
present
the
it
end of the day,
to the United Nations.
listen. At the
It
end of the
depends on
day,
what the subject is.
at the end of the day, I'm saying start with declaring your independence. Declaring your independence. That's what America did. That's what America did. That's what America did from Britain. They declared their independence. We keep forgetting that America wasn't America always. America was people who came from Britain, reestablished a land on some other land that was already occupied. We keep forgetting that part. Now it's been occupied, and we're concerned about, okay, when they go to war. If we got to go to war, we got to go to war. But let's go to war as a nation of people rather than a people that
But see,
politically have no problem.
this is the reality. This is, I don't know. Maybe it's just my reality. Let's go to war. What war? Where you fighting a war at? How do they
You
fight wars?
saying that? This is
How?
what you're
No,
saying.
I'm just saying. You have to get connected with a group of people, and then that group of people have to have power enough to fight a war,
Okay, how do
right?
you
Because
get power?
wars are for different right now. So,
Right.
like you said, when you get all type of melanated people, you got all different type of countries that have some type of weapons that can defeat. Maybe you'll get so many people from this continent or like Africa that maybe Russia will go, well, you know what? Since
We
we
gonna
is trying
join in.
see, well, we know their agenda, so it ain't like they looking over somebody. So it's like, yo, well, since we here now, we have all of them and they making a move. So let's help them make that move. So now we have something that can battle them. Because why you think they're trying to get close to Africa anyway? So they can just fire up on America and a little closer. You feel me? That's a big
Right.
threat. It's like China. It's like these powerful. I keep saying it. These powerful countries that hold
But,
down. You have
but,
to.
but what,
You,
look what you keep saying, though. Look what you keep saying. These powerful countries. We keep overlooking. We have the ability to become a country.
yeah,
This
but
is the thing.
hold on. Let me define powerful countries. I'm gonna define powerful countries. A people who's established right now that can have a war and sit down at home. That's power. I don't have to send troops out there. I don't have to send nobody out there. That's power. That's control. I could go blow up a whole country from right here.
Right.
Right.
So,
So
right.
so so
So
it don't matter. Now you got a country. Now the country is coming to oppress you. How do you defend all these people that you have following
what
you
what
that you you
what you
you turn
do?
into a
Look,
country?
look. If right now we've we've had talks about carrying guns, killing each other on a outrageous level. Let's you know, for me, when people hear what you're saying, that okay, what are we gonna do once we get once we get the states? Sometimes going beyond where you're looking in tomorrow when let's handle today. Let's do
No,
what
I'm
we can
looking
do
into
today.
when you put up a blueprint that got a lot of people in effect. You don't go from toe to toe, nigga. Your blueprint got to be written out, and it got to be, and you got to dot all
And,
the
and,
T's.
and,
You
and,
just
and no
can't.
matter
You
what,
can't. You got
no
to have
matter
a plan. You got to have a strategy. You
this, the
dealing with
reality is
because you dealing with
there's
hold
a
it. You
plan.
you you
There's a
dealing with
plan.
you hold it. You're dealing with oppressors that's gonna try to stop you. Else it would have been done already. So they already know. They already know it's there. You think they worried? They like no. We just gonna do what we
Okay,
did to Malcolm. We're gonna do what we always do. We
what?
because we're wicked
What?
people. We're
Look,
wicked people. So now I'm
listen. Tell
telling
me
you,
this.
I'm
Tell me
saying
this.
like this. When we talk about that, we have to be with reality.
I'm
What
not.
is the
I'm not out of
strategy?
reality.
Hold it. Because you're gonna get all the people to the fence and can't open the gate. So what was the purpose? You got to
What?
make sure when you get the people to the gate, you can open that gate. You got to make sure when you get the people to the gate,
Listen.
those people are
Only
secured to
the
go through the gate.
reality is anytime another country go to war with another country, it's not a sure thing. Just like when America went over there and thought they had a sure thing with Afghanistan, it wasn't a sure thing. So it's never a sure
They
thing.
have
You
weapons. Listen,
listen,
you talk
listen.
about countries
Hold
that
up,
have
hold up.
weapons, bro.
Listen. Let before we can even negotiate getting weapons from somebody, we got to be a state. That's the most important thing at this
No,
point.
you got to be a group of people that can communicate with another group of people before you become a state. You can't
No,
even
no, you're dead wrong. You're dead
you.
wrong. You're
Okay,
dead
all right,
wrong. You're
okay,
dead wrong. Well,
okay,
why?
all right. I'm wrong.
I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell
Why?
you why. If that's the case, why we don't have the weapons now?
You ain't in touch. Who you in touch with? What group of people you in touch with? You
This.
don't claim Africa. You don't claim that. You
What
claim
do you mean?
Morocco.
I don't claim Africa.
Hold it. You don't
What do you
claim
mean?
it. You don't claim Egypt. You don't claim nothing in Afghanistan.
How can
So only you claiming is here a piece of land on
see?
America with Morocco.
And
That's
what
all you
you?
saying.
No, I
You're not
don't say
in touch
that.
with any other
No,
country.
no, I don't say that. What I say is, let's become a landmass, recognized as a landmass. Then we reach out to all of those other countries that you're talking about as a landmass, not as a black people, not as an American, but as a landmass that we identify with that has no connection to America, a separate entity from America. Right now, we're an entity within America. So we reach it out as an American. So what's gonna make them decide, okay, what we gonna give you something? You're American. So at the end of the day, the goal is for them to understand, yo, we no longer acclaim our Americans. We are, as you are, an entity that looks at America as, if you're going to be our opposition, then you're our opposition. If you're going to be our ally, you're going to be our ally. But right now, where we at as African Americans and black people, we're just people that's citizens of America. That at any given time, if we decided to jump on a plane and start negotiating, this is what happens. If, like you said, many of our leaders were taken out. You know, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, and we could go on and on. The difference is putting a state together. They could kill people. At the end of the day, they can kill people. You reelect more people. That's the difference with having a state compared to just being a people. So this is what we're striving to do, to have the state to come out. So now we are recognized as our own state, and our people are recognized and protected by a state. Because then we could go to Africa, we could go to Russia. We ain't going to them as Americans, because once we take America to the United Nations, that become broadcasted. Now people look at us differently. They don't look at us as black people who are being oppressed by America. No, they look at us as Moors who woke up and said, "Oh, we've been being oppressed by a people who was foreigners to our country, who made us think that we were foreign in our own country." And they've done it all across the globe. They've done it to other individuals. So once we wake up, we can start waking other people up. Look, hold up. They've been doing it to you. They did it to us. They've been doing it to you. So now this is when we start uniting. This is when we start uniting. But before we unite, it's incumbent that we have our own constitution, our own laws, that we can combat America on an equal level. For
Sound
you,
backwards to me.
for you,
Just
it sounds
sound backwards.
backwards. But
Yeah.
how did America? America didn't start
Yo,
doing.
bro, you
Hold
you
up,
keep going. You going? How do America? Listen, you talk
No,
about
listen.
back
You
then. You
got,
talking
but you got to
2024
still
right now. You
the.
can't compare right now 2024 with what happened back then, bro.
How you
It's a
can't?
whole different time. You have whole different wicked
Who
people.
is
You have a whole different sets of rules.
who
You
is
have all
fighting?
different countries, bro. It's a
Who
whole
is
different
fighting?
situation.
Who
It's
is
a whole
fighting?
different situation, bro. We can't live
Aki.
back then.
Who is fighting?
You can't live back
Who is
then, bro.
Aki? Aki. Listen, I'm intelligent enough. I'm intelligent enough to understand how to maneuver when it comes to you saying you're looking at things in real time. You're looking at individuals fighting, but not fighting as individuals. They're fighting as states. They're fighting as countries. That's what you're looking at. You're not looking at people fighting against people.
Bro,
They're fighting at
I'm
states.
looking at America. I'm looking at America wiping people the hell out because nothing else, no other countries, is in none of the United Nations with all this going on. It's just like right now. Nobody's doing anything to stop anything. That's what you're dealing with in 2024. That's
And
who
and,
you're
and,
going to
and,
present it to
okay.
in 2020. In 2024, you got to realize the political and the warfare of the power of these
Hold,
combined
what you just
countries,
said?
bro.
Hold up. What you just said? Political.
Yeah, political and the warfare
Okay.
of these
Here you go.
oppressive countries, bro.
Political. Right now, as who we are now, there's zero real political power. Zero. We vote, but we vote for what? At the end of the day, many people are voting right now. Hold up. Don't say,
Bro,
hold up.
countries that has votes, other countries that you're saying that has states, other countries that's going through it in
Okay.
2024 is
And
being
what?
wiped out. No United Nations is helping them. Nobody's helping them. Nobody.
So
How the hell you gonna help somebody? You ain't got no war. You ain't got no warfare. What are you just gonna take a piece of paper up there and be like, look, we got this, we claim this? Come on, bro. Build reality, bro. You have to build a blueprint to get the people from
the
point A to
blueprint is
point
done.
B, bro.
The
No, the
blueprint is done.
blueprint is
The
there just
blueprint
to
is
show
done.
proof that we own something.
What
It's
you're not
not there to how to
realizing,
get there. You don't have a blueprint how to get there.
what you're not realizing is the mindset that you have is the mindset that's been holding us back because people are so
So
concerned about
the
like so at
mindset, so
so
my
it's what?
mindset,
It's
it was
because
holding us back
because
to say,
don't
where's your blueprint?
the blueprint is written. It's already written. What is a blueprint? It's written. A blueprint is written documents. You don't have a blueprint just in your head. It's a blueprint of written documents of what to do, stages to do to
So
get to the next stage.
so you have a stage where to go up against all your oppressors when you present something, because you know you're going to go up against oppressors. You're
So
not going up there. You're not going up there
hold up.
trying to get a permit to have a party.
First of all,
You going up
first
there
of
to
all,
present that I'm gonna take all these people out of slavery. I'm gonna take them out of slavery, and we're gonna declare the land you on. We're gonna declare, and we're gonna take it over. That's what you're going to tell your oppressor, and you're going to tell me you don't need a blueprint. You don't need to
that
have
is the
all.
blueprint.
You don't need to
That is the
have. You
blueprint.
don't need you don't need to be in position with other countries if it's a retaliation about presenting this to the people that they
So
either get
tell me,
refuge
okay,
or even come in. Come
this is
on,
what
bro.
you're saying. How are you right now going to get in position with those other countries as an American? Tell me.
By identifying instead of the hell with American, because you don't call yourself American. You call yourself African, but you don't call yourself African. You call yourself Moroccan, right? So identifying those in Morocco and see the power, what power they have when we come to present this in this country. Do they got our back? Do they, if warfare is
So
created,
hold up.
do
So
they
what
have
you
a
saying?
back? What kind of warfare?
Hold up.
Hold on, what kind of warfare do Moroccans have when we get all these group of people up and present them in front of the oppressor, the master, and say, listen, we taking this. This is ours. They already know it's ours.
Did
Now
you
we
ever
going to
heard?
claim it.
Have you
That's
ever
a
heard of?
reality, bro.
Have you
That's
ever heard
reality.
of? Have you ever heard of Udi Pasadata's jurors?
No.
Okay, that's a blueprint. You need to, for your benefit, do some studying on international law for your benefit. So
You
we
know,
so listen,
I'm not even going to tell you. I'm not going to do my study on international law because I'm living in 2024 and you got to play like these niggas. I'm watching a war, bro. I'm watching people get slaughtered, nigga.
You ain't
Right,
watching
right,
nothing.
bro.
You hearing
Listen,
about it. You're hearing about it. You
hold
ain't
it.
watching nothing.
I'm not
You're
watching
hearing
it.
about it.
Right, today I
You're
got
hearing about it.
discriminated on because I'm a Muslim and I'm
You're
black
hearing about it.
and I'm black. Did you go through that today?
No.
Okay. We getting exiled and we getting trickled down because the Jews ain't hiring black Muslims. Is you going through that?
I just said no.
Okay. So therefore, I'm out there, I'm on the pavement, and I'm dealing with these things, bro.
So
This
so
is a
so
reality.
so so.
Ho. Now you
Go
have
ahead.
a group of people that own the majority of things in America. Now it ain't about if you black or anything. Because they war right now is with Muslims. That's Israel. But they own everything. They don't care. Like what you just said. The man said he don't care what they say. He don't care what
Okay.
the United
Right.
Nations say. Because
Right.
why? They got powerful countries that move stuff and make things happen. United States, Biden ain't a pertain, but Biden, if you don't get Biden out of that chair, bro, you might as well forget it because he ain't trying to hear it.
I'm not
He's not
trying to
trying to hear it, bro.
listen.
He's
Listen.
not trying to hear it.
So why do you continue to say at the end of the day, if you're talking about Biden, you're talking about
I'm talking
okay,
about
Jewish.
you gotta
It's
have a there
Israel.
was leaders and there still is leaders that know and understand about this situation. But the reality is you also gotta know your enemy, bro. You can't be naive that
Who
says,
don't
hold it,
listen?
I'ma think
Who
like this, I'ma
who
think like this,
listen?
and this is
At the
how
end of the
once you
day,
think like this,
what
that's the
hold
way
up,
you
tell me
don't
this
get
though.
nowhere.
Tell me this. Tell me why if Udi Pasadata's jurors, meaning that we're claiming our landmass in a peaceful manner. Now, first, let's claim the land. All that other stuff, we don't even have. We you talking about meet and sit down with somebody. Meet and sit down with somebody. I'm an African. I live in America. I want to know is if we decide to decolonize, would y'all help us fight?
What's wrong with that?
It sounds asinine. Why? Because now you'd have went to them. They would have said, why don't you decolonize first and then come back and ask me that? Right now, I can't do nothing to you. I can't do nothing. I can't go to America
That would be
because
your answer.
no, this will be their answer. Why?
How
Because
you don't know that.
listen, why didn't people come from? Why didn't the Africans come when they were decolonizing in the '60s and black people were fighting for civil rights? Why didn't Africa come and other countries come to help us? Because we were fighting as black people
No,
who
no,
were under
that's not why,
jurisdiction.
bro. Because they selves was going through oppression and
They were
apartheid and
decolonizing.
everything else, and that and everything else they was going
But
through,
but
bro.
but but but
It was
see the
more
point you
wicked back then
see,
than it
but
is even
hold
now,
up. But
bro.
you see the point you missed? They were decolonizing. When what's when what you call it became president, that was decolonization. He wasn't concerned about what English gonna do to me. He went in there for years in prison to decolonize. Do that first.
Did Malcolm do that?
Malcolm didn't decolonize.
Didn't he go there?
He
What was
didn't
he
make
going there
it.
for?
He didn't
He
make
didn't.
it.
He didn't make it. Why
Okay.
you think he didn't make it? What was the
You
real purpose of his death?
you know why he didn't make it? Because he was left alone. And he didn't have a, a whole conglomerate, a state. He had an organization behind him, like what you're talking about, an organization of people. He didn't have a state because otherwise he had a
But the
state.
state
Listen,
didn't exist then, right? The
oh,
state didn't
this
exist.
so
The state didn't exist,
and
right?
right. And if we
They didn't
go
have
by
the papers then,
hold
right?
up, hold up. And if we go by what you're saying, it won't exist then.
They
It
didn't have
won't
no
exist
papers
now.
though. But you saying they didn't have no papers then, right?
No, the treaties were already out. It
Okay. So now they had the treaties,
what I'm saying to you
but they
is
didn't. They seen this man making the move and going to there, but you don't even know what conflicted between the two.
the bottom line is he didn't have a state behind him. That's the
Hold
bottom
it, but
line.
he hold it. But you said he was going there for the purpose of that, right?
What? I was
You,
saying what?
he called himself a Moor. He was going there for the purpose of that, right?
One man.
Right.
They don't
So
deal.
what hold it. What
What?
happened to the rest of them after that? If they see that's happening, bro, like that's happening. We have the documentation. Here's a powerful man with a lot of people following him. A
Okay.
lot of strong men.
Right.
What happened?
And that's what I'm saying to you. He listen, everything you just said, Malcolm already had. Malcolm had the connection with the people from all other countries, Africa and all other countries. He had the connection. You know what he was missing? The state
Okay,
to
so
stand
if he
behind him.
missing that, why he didn't have it? That's what I'm asking you.
He didn't get a chance to do it. He didn't
Hold it.
get a chance to do it.
He was if he was part of that organization, that's what I'm trying to understand. Was he a part of that Moorish organization, that movement, that documentation to say we had that land?
Remember, Moorish Americans believe they're American. Malcolm,
I'm not talking
Malcolm.
about them. I'm talking
Okay,
about the people who have the document you talking about. Let's forget
so,
American more.
so
They don't have the
the
document.
bottom
I'm
line
talking
is
about
this:
the people who have the document. When they witness this happening? Did they come forward and say, we have this, we should do it this way?
what I'm telling you is the people who now are on the level that they're on now has just waken up since 2020 and already have probably 7 states with another 11 coming to be states. During that time, I don't know who had the knowledge. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if anyone had the knowledge, but what I do know is Malcolm never got the opportunity to build a state. He took it the way you said. I'm going up there and I'm going up there as Malcolm the man,
So
not
you
Malcolm.
saying, so you think so you think because he wasn't a state, if he was a state, he wouldn't have got executed?
No, I'm telling you,
Oh, because I was
I'm
gonna
telling
say
you,
that's crazy.
no, I'm telling you, had he had a state, they execute him, then it's somebody else to come right behind him. You know what I
Somebody could
mean?
have came behind him anyway if they got that documentation, bro.
It's listen, the thing, documentation is one thing, but turning the documentation into reality
Okay.
makes it
So
makes
this
it
is what I
official.
asked you the first time. In the 60s, how the people were looking for a way out. And in 2024, you don't think you need a blueprint, bro?
Bro, I
People was
just told you the
eager.
blue. You hold
Hold
up.
on.
You
People
just
was eager.
explained your
You
blueprint.
telling me a blueprint about the United Nations. I'm talking about for the people, bro.
The people. What are you? I just
What's the
told you the
plan for the
blueprint.
people? How
Yeah,
you get the
I
people
just told.
across the bridge?
Listen, I just told you. First, you got to get the people to get on the bridge in order to get
And
to
how do you
realize
do
it's
that?
a bridge. The
And
state.
how do you do that?
I told you the state. That's the key.
You
You keep.
you
You keep.
what's your
You keep.
connect? You no, you connecting the state. You
Why?
still got to connect to the people.
Listen.
You still confused with the
Listen.
people. You
Listen.
like
No.
Africans over
No.
here, the
No. You.
Moroccans,
You.
and the
You're saying
Americans
that.
over here.
No. You're
That's what you're
saying that.
saying.
No. I'm not
You're
saying
not
that.
connecting the dots.
No, you're saying that. You're saying I just proved what you said when you were saying at the end of the day, let's connect with the people. Let's go over and talk to the people.
And that
Malcolm
shows
did
you
that.
that
Malcolm did that.
and that shows you that they are aware of a movement like that. You have to
Okay.
have a plan when
Okay.
people
So
going to present something like
so
that. You gotta know how you moving in 2024 with these wicked ass people, bro. Because it's
so
not
what did
just
I just tell
America.
you?
It's
So
not just America. It's other countries that is just as wicked in the United Nations, bro.
and listen.
When you going about, and now
And
I'm not
and
talking about just going to get a document served on this or that. You're talking about a documentation to take something away and make a massive of people aware of something. You don't think, and you think you could just present that? That's some crazy crap, bro. You got to
listen.
prepare the
What
people with what
listen.
entails, with
You
what entails, what's going to come
the
after that, bro.
listen, you listen. I'm not Allah, neither is you. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, Allah is in control. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, if Allah put this information here for us to take and utilize, who am I to battle with? Okay, first
You got, but
I've
some of
seen
us
it.
could get information
Listen,
and don't approach it right.
listen,
Some of us could get information and just
and
throw it
and,
out there,
and,
but we
and at
ain't
the
doing
end,
our,
and at
we ain't strategizing.
And at the end of the
You
day,
understand?
and at the end of the day, it already been tried your way. You spoke of a way and it's been tried. And I'm saying, based on history, that uh, having a state, you already declared your independence, you already have your constitution, you already have your 3 branches of government. Remember, this is not something that you ask America to do. This is not something that you say, America, can we have our land back? No, this is not something to do that. This is something you declare the same way it was declared in other states. Other states declared their independence. Then you take it. Now, once you declared it, now I'm more comfortable saying, okay, now let's go connect with all those individuals. Let's go connect with them other countries as a country, as our own country, with our own government, not underneath American government or the American so-called red, white, and blue flag. No, we have our own flag. Well, our own flag where we have our Empire of Morocco flag that we're holding up. That is to unite all people, all those people you're talking about, to unite all of them, as well as any other individuals. Because if people know, if you're saying people know and you know they know, they're waiting. At the end of the day, Chinese and all that, they know. At the end of the day, they saying, what are they waiting for? What, why do they keep sleeping? At the end of the day, we know who they are. Why don't they know who they are?
You
And why
say
don't
that.
they do what they need?
You say that. You
I
say
mean,
people saying,
we got
I'm
we
going
got
like this. I'm going, the world that I've seen and the things that I've seen, you are dealing with, you got to have a blueprint of how you moving when you moving things, bro. And that's the reality. It just don't travel. You making it seem
and I
so
don't
simple, like
understand
things
and
travel like that. First
and
of
I
all,
don't
bro, let me tell you what get attention. You know what I'm saying?
we way over time.
Identifying each other as one whole. So before you come out get a state, you got to get the people to identify as one whole. Connect with the people as a group of people, as
Sounds good.
humanity, a group of people.
Sounds
You
good.
you still, but we don't. We That's the first step. Forget all that other stuff.
I
It's
mean,
already
that's
there.
your view. That's your view.
It's
That's
already
your
there.
view. That's your view.
Okay, that's my view.
Right. That's your view.
That's
At
my
the
view.
end of
That's my view.
at
That's
the
my
end of the view.
experience.
Right.
That's my
At the
that's
end of
my
the
view and
day,
that's my experience.
at the end of the day, based on what I know about us as a people and what I know based on my vast experience with life, first we get these states and we do it simultaneously. Why wait trying to unite the people when that's been happening since the 60s? We've been trying to unite the people.
Well,
We've
you
still
need the
been trying to
people in
unite the
order to
people.
get the state.
Of course you need people,
So how do
but
you
you don't
unite
need
them?
everybody. You
How do
don't
you
need
unite them?
everybody.
How many people it takes to make a state?
Already stated.
No, you just
You
said
can
how
do
many states. You didn't
you
say
can
you didn't
you
say how
listen.
many
You
people.
need three branches of government, so you can do it with 15, 20 people. Make a state. 15, 20 people to make a state. When when states are put together, you don't need 1,000 people. You don't need 1,000,000 people to put the states together. But once you put the states together, then you start recruiting those people to come to their homeland, to be reestablished to their homeland. That's when you start doing that. Because at the end of the
Yeah.
day, while we waiting to unite the people, life is still happening. Things are still going on. We're still being oppressed. So at the end of the day, okay, I'd rather be oppressed and have something that has changed, that we were in the process of changing, because now if anything goes wrong, we don't have a leg to fight on. We don't have, at least if we got a state now, it's like, okay, I'm not doing that because I'm in a Moroccan state. I don't have to listen to what you say. Right now, I can't do that. I can't say I don't have to listen to you. When
Yes, you
did you,
can.
you
You
could?
just didn't go take your Moroccan citizenship.
Okay, so I
So
and
that's your choice.
so
So
right,
that's your choice.
right.
You still want
So
to be under the you
oh,
still want to be under the power of the
no,
United States.
right, no, because my thing is, to some degree, I feel like you feel, where I want the people to be a part of it. So I'm hesitating to do that part because now America see me as a black person too. I have it. I don't have my documentation to say I'm other than that. So I'm taking the time to try to bring the people in, as many as I can. But I'm not going to be under a illusion that I'm going to be able to bring 85% of the people in. I'm not going to be under that illusion, because at the end of the day, like the lesson says, what? 85% of the people are what? You know what I'm saying? 10% are doing what? 5% are doing what? Okay? So at the end of the day, statistically, we've already had the layout of how it's going to go down. So now, okay, let's do what we got to do to at least secure the states, the 50 states. Then we're gonna whatever we're gonna deal with, we were gonna deal with anyway, as far as what you're saying, having a blueprint. So at the end of the day, let's have the blueprint be the state, and then we start dealing with whatever you're gonna deal with because we got to deal with it anyway. But now we're not doing it as what we've been doing it as. We've already made a transition from one stage to another because now we become nationals, not citizens. We become nationals. So now we're dealing as nationals rather than citizens. And believe it or not, your mindset changes. Your mindset changes when you start looking at yourself as a national compared to looking at yourself as a citizen. I don't forget about none of the melanated countries. I don't forget about none of the people in the world. I truly believe that us coming together to do what we are capable of doing will start to change. We will be able to start to change because people recognize who we are more so than we do. I truly believe that. And they are waiting for us to wake up and do our part, then other people will join in to help us do the rest. I truly believe that that's what's going to happen because at the end of the day, why keep shucking and jiving and talking about what we want to do and how we did? We didn't try just about everything else but this. Like Trump
Well,
said,
you know,
like Trump said, like Trump said, like
it,
Trump ended up saying, like, what do you have to lose, black people? You know what I mean? Like, what do you have to lose from building a state? What do you have to lose? You have something, you have more to gain than you had to lose for just
well,
staying the way it is.
you know, we know
We
a
done
lot
went
of
we
we.
done went over, man. We done went over.
Okay, okay. But we know a
Go ahead,
lot of
finish your
things.
statement.
A lot of things that is today, man. It wasn't yesterday, bro. We in a whole different time frame, and things that people mentality. You ain't dealing with old people mentality. You dealing with young mentality that's younger than us. So you got to think like them. You gotta understand how
I
they
mean,
think and how they function.
I mean,
You know what I'm
you
saying?
can only the reality is you can only do the best you can to try to be around them and listen to what they're saying to get a better idea of what they're thinking. At our age, if we're thinking like them, then we off. If they're thinking like us, then they are on point. You know what I mean? So for telling them, I truly believe them seeing something that they haven't seen, they haven't read in history books. I think younger people will actually be more receptive to this idea than some of the older people because the younger people want something that they can call their own, and they will be more fired up of, okay, oh, this is who I am and this is what we got now. Okay, like you were saying with the Jews, okay, the Jews have brought things up. They've solidified a block, solidified a spot based on what? Them being able to utilize their religion as their nationality. Very few people have been able to do that, to use your religion. Then they're able to use a word that mo- most people, or probably hardly any people, know the definition of, and they throw it out there whenever you do something that they feel offends them, you know? So, but here we are, you know, offending ourselves. We're using words that was offensive, saying it shouldn't offend us because we got power over the word. But the real power, the Jews showing you the real power, because at the end of the day, their power is financial, economic, and political. So
That's
that's where
from
we're
they that,
missing.
but that's that. All that comes from their unity and their upbringing and they close. They haven't been separated like we were separated. You know what I'm saying? They still carry on like we get mad when we go over and when we talk about slavery. We get mad. While they talk about the Holocaust and they make it in their favor. They use it as power. So it's the mentalities of what we what we do.
First of all,
Of what we do.
the Holocaust was an isolated incident that happened in a short period of time. When you talking 400 years or something,
Yeah,
that's
but
two
I'm not
totally different
comparing it.
things.
I'm saying what they use. I'm not comparing the two. I'm
And
saying what they use and what we don't do. What
listen,
if
we've
we saying
used
400 times, but we don't want to hear about slavery.
listen.
We don't
No,
want to we don't want to
I don't.
stand on that. You know what
No,
I'm saying?
it's nothing to stand on because at
It
the
ain't
end of
standing
the
on it
day,
like that, bro. See, you look
it,
at
it's
your whole point of view is all is different. You don't you take everything and you going like it ain't nothing to stand on, and
what
because they say this
400
that
years. Listen,
that that that
400
that
years of
that
hold
that
up.
that's
400.
a lot of
Oh no,
out
I
of
want you to
touch.
listen to something.
That's not a
Four-
that's not a reality of what's happening in the
400,
world today.
400 years of captivity, being oppressed by another people. What's to be proud about that? Tell
Who
me.
said anybody gonna be proud? All right,
Huh?
bro.
What's to be proud about?
Your perception is so off of reality to me personally that I don't understand, bro. Because it seems like you so out of touch. You got a mental and you got knowledge, but it's not touching with the reality of what's going on today in the world. It's like it's out of touch. It ain't in sync. It's like you only visualizing this in your head and it only coming in your head, but you're not seeing reality. You're not seeing
Reality
outside
of
what's happening in the world all over by all different types of people and what they're going through and the issues that they're dealing with and how things are changing. You still holding on to a history and think everybody see that history in a certain perspective. That's your mind. That's not the reality of how things is, bro. That's not it. And I stand on that from the young to the older that I deal with in a continuous lifestyle and a continuous behavior
and
day
all
to
those
day, day
people
in and
and
day
all
out.
those people and all those people you deal with talk about slavery. They talk about slavery and they feel comfortable with slavery. That those
No,
people you talking about.
you know what they talk about? You know, they talk about um, I'm good because every time we get a belong to something, we belong to something else. So I'm good. That's what they talk about. They be like, yo, first we there, then we here. They talk about sets. That's what they talk about. That's why they belong. I'm in a set. I'm good with my set. I'm good with my set because this is
Okay.
all sets. This is what the Quran. This is what it teaches us. It teaches us about all the sets that people gonna derive on and call out when we only should be calling out from Asian manner, of peoples, to connect us to peoples, not
I mean,
when we divide
you
each other and it's like this. How you gonna get the bridge from over here? And like you said, it's leaders that know. If the leaders know, and if the power, like the Nation of Islam, if they got a masses of people all over, and they know,
we don't.
what is it that they don't make that move with the people? And
So
I'm
that's
sure they want it for the people. I'm sure they
so
want it for the people because I feel that we need to have and secure when we go up when we approach things like that, because we seen how we approach things, and we approach things to be one individual. It be everybody cheer them up to follow this individual. Everybody follow this individual. Then when that individual get popped off, everybody back up because we don't have an individual blueprint for the people. How are we going to secure this? How this going to happen? It's the same thing we did back in the day when we was out there battling. Then we had Alabama, Fifth Ave. It was a blueprint. It was a plan of how we was gonna go in and attack, how we was gonna not get hurt, how we was gonna be secured, how we secured the people, how we was gonna come in from different sides. That was a blueprint,
so
and
you think you you think now?
you
Hold
gotta
up.
have a blueprint for the people.
You think now is any different? And back then, the same way you talking to me now. A lot of times you talk to me the same way back then. And
Well,
I was
we
out of
don't
touch. I
change.
was this and that. So at the
Yeah,
end
I
of the
mean, and we
day,
ain't changed. I mean, now,
so
nigga,
so
same,
so
we
so
still
at
the
the
same nigga,
right,
bro.
right. So
I mean,
right.
not to that, to the, I mean, to the relevance of we're
Yeah,
concerned with the people. We're concerned with our people and
right,
humanity and getting them from point A to point B. And you
right.
know, I always been like that. Like, listen, if we taking all these over this bridge, bro, like everybody ain't gonna throw arms. So we need to
Right.
make sure we got pat cats that throw
Oh,
arms, because
and,
just because you got a group of people don't mean that they're gonna stand there
And you think
Through the
I'm at
duration.
right. So that's why I'm saying what I'm saying. Like when I would say, okay, we're gonna wait. We're not gonna roll today. We're gonna wait. So that's what I'm saying. We wait. Get the 50 states. Put the 50 states together. Now we got we're setting up. We're setting up the blocks. We're setting up. Now that we got the 50 states, now we got the Wazir Regional Council. We got individuals that are set in place doing certain things that's behind the scene that needs to be done in that manner. Then we go for the soldiers because everybody's not going to be a officer. Everybody's not going to
Well, you
be
know,
a
every police
legislator.
officer right now ain't happy with the government. Every army person that's in the service ain't happy. I mean,
Happy,
I even heard one guy. I think he was a daggone general, and he had did an interview on YouTube. He wasn't happy with none of the administration. He was like, they all
right,
off the rocker. Like,
right,
but if
so,
he's in a position to do what he has to do, you know what I'm saying?
right. So to some point, we it's incumbent on us to use our imagination too. You know what I mean? Yeah, we know what's going on. We know what's capable. Sometimes you got to put your imagination in there and to a point where, okay, there are people disgruntled. Anytime there was an uprising in a country, what happened? Those people set up some type of government and overthrew the government. That's what ultimately ended up happening. They set up a government and they overthrew the government. They didn't overthrow the government, set the government up later. They set up a government, then they start doing what you say, going to the generals, going talking to them. Look, this is our plan. This is what we're going to do once we're in charge. Now, what do? You got a government. Everybody, the people you're talking about, they're used to being under a government. So if you come to them talk about, yeah, we just, we trying to parlay this, we trying to get down, we trying to do this. Then, well, where's your government? You know what I mean? So I'm thinking about those people. Then we go because you get America's army. What do America have? America without the army says, look, I'm tired of what y'all been doing. I'm going this route. America's through. Now you just got a bunch of rich jokers that got money. They got no more power. Their power is what? The army. That's their power. So that's the goal. So that's why, to me, it's so important to get the government, reestablish the government. That's why it's so important. Once we do that, now because we can do all of those, we've been doing all those things, and we can still do all of those things after we have our government established. We reestablish our government. It's nothing to stop us then, because now we are recognized like everybody else in the world. Right now, I believe and I know that we are not recognized the way that we are capable of being recognized because we're still being overlapped by America. We're being overlapped. We're to some extent, yeah. Some of us are doing well. Some of us are being basically comforted by things, and that's why some of our leaders are comfortable. They're good. They don't got to do anything. Like right now, they living good. They just, some of them say, look, the reality is whether we want to believe it or not, some of our leaders straight sold us out.
I
You
mean,
know,
like, you know,
we have to accept that. We have to
I
accept that
mean,
some of our leaders
that's what
sold
I'm
us out.
saying. You're gonna have infiltration. You're gonna have
Right.
these things happen, man. It's like,
And,
like everybody could come around, but everybody don't mean they 100 with it. So
right.
we're gonna have
So
that.
yeah, and remember the 10 percenters. What was the 10 percenters? They were amongst us, and what were they? What were they?
They had their own agenda, basically. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, They were getting, that's the money right there.
The bloodsuckers are the poor.
They were sucking us, man. So I
Right.
mean, they
So
still sucking us.
right.
I mean, I mean,
Right.
I had
So
Masons in my family. I mean, like straight
all
like
right.
that.
All right.
Whew,
So so
I didn't know
that's
what it was until I got older. I'm like, oh, this is what the meetings was.
yeah.
But I never went
So
under that flag. I never went under none of that because being
and
as
and
under Clarence 13X Smith saved my life.
right.
You know what I'm
And
saying?
remember, what did it say? The Masons know the truth.
Of
But
course they do. How
so
you think
they
they can manipulate it?
right.
You know what I'm saying?
They know about this information that we've are
Well,
talking
that's it.
about, and they've always known.
They always knew that. A lot of them was Moorish.
And
Yeah,
what do they
bro.
wear?
Especially in
And what do they
Patterson,
wear?
bro. A lot of them.
What
Yeah,
do the top ones
the
wear?
Moors. It said the Moors and everything, bro. Come on, you hung in there. You seen
Right.
that.
And,
You know what I'm saying? I
okay.
could call out
So
a lot of things, but I ain't
so
gonna call them out. They ain't coming to
all
get
right.
you, nigga.
So the reality is
I'm
they
sure.
left they left Malcolm out to dry. You know what I mean? They left Malcolm out to dry
But
when he had a chance to build a state. Soon as they took him down, the state person could have went and took the mantle. You know what I mean? That's why we it's time for us to fight as a state, not as an organization, not as an individual. Now, when you have a state, you fight as a state. How can you become more unified than a state? We can't become no more unified than a state. A state that represents all the people. So that's the unification that we're looking for right now. That's it. That's where we at. We all way. So that's it, man. We done went way over time, brother.
yeah, man. Cause inshallah, bro, it was a good talk.
All right, to the next day. Thank y'all for watching. We appreciate y'all.
Tune in.
Until tomorrow, wish all of you and your families
Be careful. Be
love,
safe.
peace, and happiness.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Hit me up.
All right.